what I gather, Young Bucks didn't want the titles. They actually wanted to lose a lot when they launched AEW. It wasn't until Tony Khan came in and like, no, you need to win matches. Um, I think the Young Bucks being champions right now and being heel champions is kind of like a middle finger to the wrestling fans that are internet wrestling fans, because they're basically just trying to say we're gonna be these characters that you guys make us out to be. That's what it comes across as. But with them being dominant champions as they are, it's gonna be worth so much more when they lose. And I think that's what the Bucks are gearing up for. I think they're probably actually gonna lose to the Acclaimed.
Yeah.
I think they're taking their time with the Acclaimed, and they're gonna lose to the Acclaimed.
Oh, this is not on the topic of AEW. This is the topic of the pay-per-view, the Money in the Bank. So I just thought of it. What the hell is going on between the whole Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre shit?
They're probably going to gear up where Drew and Jinder are going to face each other as as a 3B callback, if you will. And I'm somewhat okay with that because Jinder's been off TV enough to where they could probably build him up as a dominant force.
Something they should have done in 2017 before putting the title on him.
I don't think it's gonna be an instant flip like that. I think he's gonna have more, not necessarily like easy wins, but I think he's gonna have wins. But it's gonna look like he actually organically won. I don't think he's gonna be Drew. What I think is gonna end up happening is they're gonna keep building him up as organically winning, losing to Drew, organically winning, losing to Drew, and then when Drew wins the title, he's gonna challenge for the title, and they're probably gonna have a series where they have a pretty good world title matches, and I'm fine with that as long as they do organically. I actually wouldn't even be against if Heath makes a comeback to WWE, and they do the same thing with Heath, where basically, I'm gonna do a callback to the fact that it's called the Labors of Jericho, where it's basically the Labors of Drew, where he has to face his past.
Yeah, I just thought about it. I meant to say something earlier when we were talking about the ladder match, but
I meant to bring up Jinder Mahal as well. My main issue with his whole run in early 2017 was just the fact that it wasn't organic, and I thought his finisher looked like garbage. I'm very particular when it comes to finishing moves. I've hated Wade Barrett's and I hated Jinder Mahal's. I wouldn't
hate the
Wade Barrett's.
Yeah.
Wade Barrett, I thought should have did a clothesline for hell variation. I thought it would have worked very well with him.
Like the running version of the bullhammer almost.
I didn't like the bullhammer.
Well, that's my version.
I would love a running lariat. I think his build and everything else, it would have worked perfectly. But that's my opinion. I don't say I'm right about everything, but this is one of those things where I look at him, I'm like, you should have had this. Just like with Ziggler, like I'm not a big fan of Zigzag. It's attributed to him, but he also employed the Famouser and the Super Kick, and I think the Super Kick is a better fit for Drew Ziggler.
I just realized.
What's that?
Two of his moves are like from two members of the DX.
It is. It very well is. And when it comes to Drew, like I love the I used to love the Future Shock DDT, but the Claymore at this point has become his calling card.
The
for
whole
that.
counting thing now.
I think he did that started doing that during the pandemic era because they wanted to get someone to build up to it. Kind of like the whole, like, if you think of Shawn Michaels tuning up the band, I think that's what it's for.
Yeah, but I don't like, it gives people the opponent, like, they should know you're doing it now since they hear over like 1,000 people screaming 3, 2, 1. You should know what the fuck's coming to hit you now.
Okay, well, that's always been a thing in wrestling. So I'll give you a couple different examples. John Cena, shoulder tackle, duck a clothesline, back body drop, five knuckle shuffle, attitude adjustment.
Yeah.
CM Punk, running knee lift, bulldog, then go to sleep.
I've always,
Uh,
I'm not gonna lie to you. I like the whole knee, run a bulldog, and go to sleep. I've always liked that.
yeah,
Or even
it's
the elbow to it.
Hulk Hogan, Hulk up, punch, punch, Irish whip, big boot, leg drop.
Yeah, there are other ones too. Shawn Michaels did like the forearm atomic drop.
He did the forearm. No, that's called a teardrop suplex. It's not atomic. Well, yeah, atomic drop. Then he did the teardrop suplex. Um, and then tuning up the band. Triple H always did the. He would do the running knee or the face buster into like a, um, um, not a power slam, spine buster, and then set up for the pedigree.
Yeah,
Rock always did spine buster into the people's elbow. The rock bottom was out of nowhere. Stone Cold was really good about the center being out of nowhere. Not really set up for it. But yeah, it's a common theme in wrestling to have like a little setup for it. Edge always did the sitting and waiting and like pulling at his hair for the spear, which is funny because like one of the things I liked about Goldberg's spear is if you watch like the old WCW, he'll do like a net breaker and then do a backwards somersault into the corner to set up for the spear. And actually, there's an old WCW match. You can actually see Goldberg do a backflip.
what the hell?
Goldberg was very agile, and I think that's why he was so believable. But he always did after he did the spear, he did the taunt and then set up for the jackhammer. DDP's thing was always the taunt for the diamond cutter, where they calling signaling for the diamond cutter. This came up on social media. Diamond cutter or RKO?
Are you talking like my opinion?
Yeah, your opinion.
I grew up on the RKO. You grew up on the diamond cutter.
So I did pick diamond cutter, but my explanation was DDP started out the whole out of nowhere thing because that was the thing. You never knew when the diamond cutter was coming. It would just happen to some of your opponents. The other thing is DDP also made it a thing where he tried to see if he can do different setups. He did a power bomb into a diamond cutter. He did a suplex into a diamond cutter. He did a countering of someone jumping off getting onto the turnbuckle onto the diamond cutter, which he called the super diamond cutter. He did the pop up diamond cutter. He did a so he did a thing where he threw someone to the corner. They bounced off the corner and he put them into the diamond cutter. So because of the innovation, protecting it and making it what it was when Randy took it over, I give it to DDP. I think DDP created something that Randy carried on.
I think one thing I've always like. I think one reason why I'm biased towards it is because I like when Orton actually like does the whole clothesline, power slam, DDT, and then his little hand thing where he ended up actually like dislocating his fucking shoulder from it, but still when he did
I call it the throwing the tantrum on the mat.
that. I've always liked. I don't know why. I've always liked that ever since I started watching it. And Orton was like one of the first people I recognized when I started watching wrestling.
I just thought of something. Do you remember when Christian would throw the tantrums in the ring?
Like back in like 2000.
Early 2000s, like 2003, 4.
Yeah, where I
So
remember I lost DDP.
yeah, so all that. I watched an interview. He knocked himself out doing that.
Really?
Yeah, he hit his head too hard on the mat, caused himself to be knocked out.
Probably where the concussion started.
That's he was talking about the concussions, and he goes, I have a story about one of the stupidest ways you can ever get a concussion. He's like, I had this character that would throw temper tantrums when they lost, so I'm bouncing around the mat. I hit my head too hard, and then I didn't remember the rest of the night.
Yeah, I think it was Mania 18 or 19, one of the two. I saw against DDP and for the European title at the time, and he lost and started throwing a temper tantrum. I'm like, what the hell?
And speaking of the DDP with WWF, DDP was misused in the WWF. You had two people calling themselves the People's Champion, and you can't do a People's Champion versus People's Champion match.
Yeah. They could have done that during the invasion thing, but no, they had to have him be a stalker. Oh gosh,
I want people to be body positive, but if DDP is married to Kimberly, what the fuck is he gonna want with Sarah?
Yeah.
I don't like making fun of people the way they look because it is what it is. But objectively, we could probably say that Kimberly would attract more people than Sarah. But yeah, it was at a loss. The only thing I liked about that whole thing is the fact that Canyon would dress up like DDP and confuse the Undertaker. That was the only thing I liked about it.
Yeah, during the whole invasion thing, I mainly watched the pay-per-views for it, and that Survivor Series match is, granted, they could have had different people in it on the WCW and ECW side, but that the Survivor Series match is still like one of my favorite Survivor Series matches. With it's like up there with like Team Bischoff and Team Austin and Team Authority and Team Cena.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's. I remember the invasion live. I remember freaking out when this is post invasion when Eric Bischoff came to WWF, and it was one of those where it's weird because everyone had their dream matches, right? Everyone wanted to see like Goldberg versus Austin, which honestly, hindsight, that probably wouldn't have been entertaining. But like Sting versus Undertaker, Rock versus DDP, all that stuff, and it fell flat on his face.
Yeah, the only one that out of the ones that you just named that they could have done because the people that were there was TDP and Rock, but they didn't do it. Like based off of the people that they actually had.
Mm-hmm.
Because Rock went on to face Booker in a Rock Bottom versus Bookend match for the WCW title. I think that was at SummerSlam.
Yep. And I actually don't know who did the move first, but yeah,
I don't know.
I just remember both being popular around the same time. And at the same time, Juventud Guerrero was being the juicy one, which is kind of like a mocking of the Rock. So, but yeah, that I got all that I wanted to talk about relative to Money in the Bank and recent news. So, yeah.
Other thing, real quick, actually, how'd you feel about Nikki ASH winning the title the night after Money in the Bank? Since we're recording this a week after.
I hope that they do right by her. I actually was a fan of Nikki Cross when she was crazy. I don't like the Nikki ASH character. One thing I would say is like, I hope that that this is her idea, that she wanted to be this character. But at the same point, if they just are going to take the title off of her in a couple of weeks, it's all for nothing. And I don't think that's right for the person that portrays Nikki Cross or Nikki ASH. It might have been why that they had Charlotte beat Rhea is for Charlotte to lose to Nikki, because you're going to get more of a pop of Charlotte losing it to Nikki than you would Rhea losing it to Nikki. But
I just realized that earlier we were talking about who's going to take it off of Charlotte.